AJ.
And Shannon, how are you, bud?
I'm good. Today we have a great guest.
We do. You want to introduce him?
His name is Josh Smith from the Cerebral Palsy Conference.
And who's he with? Green Mountain Support Services, right?
Yes.
Of Vermont. And we're so excited to have him because we have been working with him behind the scenes and the whole Green Mountain Services crew over there to help make promo videos for the 6th annual Cerebral Palsy Conference. So we're so excited to have him on to talk about all things Cerebral Palsy Conference with everybody. It's just going to be a really fun show. So let's dive into it. What you say, AJ?
Sounds like a perfect show.
All right. Hi, Josh. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing great. Well, we're gonna ask you a few questions today. Are you ready?
Hey, you know what? I've been waiting for this all week.
Good. Cool. Okay. So let me just share the screen so everybody can see the questions, and then we'll get started. Okay, AJ, you can see, everybody can see?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. Well, first of all, Josh, I think AJ was going to ask you a little bit about the history of Green Mountain Services and how you guys started. So AJ, you want to jump into the question you have over there?
How could you provide us with a brief history of Green Mountain Support Services?
Yeah, sure. So basically, here in Vermont, we were the first state in the nation to deinstitutionalize, meaning that we do not have any institutions for people with disabilities, and it's for in Vermont. We firmly believe as Vermonters is that it doesn't matter what color of the skin, what religion, background, or level of ability you have. Everybody everybody deserves to be a part of their own community.
We love that. Love that.
So what we do is Green Mountain Support Services, we provide based services. And what we do is we match people based off of hopes and dreams, not based off of any. We don't do congregate settings. We don't do segregated settings.
So you don't sorry to interrupt, but I had a question pop in my head. You don't do what do they call that? Like in-home, or not in-home services, but like a institutionalized kind of workshop setting. You don't pay you don't do workshop settings for individuals to pay.
No.
To get paid to do workshop items like piecemeal items or envelopes or putting together things like that. You don't do that, do you?
No, not at all. No, not at all. We the people that we work with that we do some job coaching for are doing the same jobs as everybody else is.
That's great because I know there's such a difference between job coaching and then work placement where the person actually works on the side of an institution, which you guys said you're not institutionalizing it, which again we're big advocates for here. But my question kind of went along the lines I've seen and actually advocated against places that have individuals working on site making like 2 cents a piece of mail or something that they put together, or an envelope. And excuse me, I forgot the wording right now for it, but I know exactly what it is, and that just is totally off our radar here. We don't. So I'm glad to see that you don't agree with that either. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I mean, and honestly, I think that's a form of discrimination.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. So we work with people. And as I say, that we work with people first, and diagnoses second. So what we do is we support people based off of what their hopes and dreams are and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then then that's our goal, is to make sure we do that. And the other thing we talk about as well is that we talk about issues of natural supports versus paid
Yeah.
supports.
The natural
And-
support, the natural supports that are built in first, and then you place other supports where need be, correct?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Our job is to make sure that when we work with direct support professionals, their job is to help people for the accessibility piece. So
Right.
whether it be, helping them in their day-to-day lives or whatever that is. And the other thing too, is that we really, one of the things we also, preach about is that disability is a natural part of the human experience.
Yes.
And we tell all of our new hires and the people who work, we remind people that our North Star support services, is to make sure, as we say, that we ensure that people, our neighbors, this is like our statement, that we ensure that our neighbors with disabilities are at home in the community. They're not
Absolutely.
segregated, they're not in any congregate settings, that somebody who is a baker. And, it reminds me, it reminds me of the point is that that we have to, make sure that, as I say, that people access everything the same as anybody else.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And yeah, and those are the things that we kind of hold true to ourselves. And as I say, disability is a natural part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And I tell people is that we work with people who are, who might, be born with a disability or might get a because we also work with people with brain injuries. So we
Right,
say we work with
So they
people
might
that,
acquire them afterwards.
right. And then we also say we work with people who receive disabilities from the benefits of age.
Mhm.
Meaning this is the point too, is that we work with, some of some people that are elderly, whether it get through like sight or walking, or it's through, some level of dementia or something along those lines is, it's I had a brother who died at 31 in an accident. And the point, and the point of that is that he's never going to live long enough to have a disability. So one of the things that I point out is that, living with a disability, as I say, is a natural part of the human experience. And I tell our employees is that my hope for you is that you live long enough to have your own disability. And you have to make sure that you provide the same level of supports the people we work for, as you hope to get someday as well. So, yeah.
I mean, disability is the greatest. I mean, it's an equalizer because we know, that everybody at some point is gonna get a disability or be disabled.
Right.
Just for AJ and I and people with it, or individuals with disabilities, we happen to have them before most, and ours is more visual. Especially mine and AJ's. We have CP, but let's face it, the reality is everyone over the course of time is going to have a disability because we all age, and so those supports have to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was one of the, and that's basically also is how the creation of the Cerebral Palsy Conference happened. Is that we work with a gentleman named Jimmy Kavanaugh, and he told us that he wanted to go to a Cerebral Palsy Conference. He wanted to talk and network with the other people living with cerebral palsy. I mean, we're like, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, let's see what we can come up with. And the closest, and this was in 2016, the closest cerebral palsy conference we could find was in California. And so we up here in New England, we call it, we call it the old Yankee ingenuity, where we just, if we can't find something, we'll make it up. We'll make it ourselves.
I mean, I'm used to that whole idea. I'm a mama, so if I can't find it and it needs to work for me, I just figure out something to make it work.
Yes.
But so I absolutely get what you're saying, and that kind of leads us into question 2. And I'm gonna add. Well, AJ can ask again, and I'll just start here. Could you provide a brief history, or could you provide our audience a brief history of the Cerebral Palsy Conference? And I believe you were starting to talk about its inception, and overall, what is your goal for this one-of-a-kind event?
Right. So when you get a chance, for their audience, check out, go to our website, cerebralpalsyconference.org. And
We've been talking up your website and the cerebralpalsyconference.org for a really long time, and we've on everything we do and our promos, we've talked about it. So you guys make sure you go over there, check everything out. I know Josh is going to give a brief synopsis, but if you want to know more information, all the details will be down below in the description box and all over our Don't Burn the Day media website page and on our Facebook page. So go and check it all out there.
Yeah, and we have, basically, the reason why we did this, obviously, James Kavanaugh wanted to make sure that he wanted to attend the conference. We couldn't find one, so as I said, we created our own. And basically, what it is that we have as our mission statement, basically, is providing cerebral palsy advocates an event for networking and education. So it's very succinct, it's basically for all cerebral palsy advocates, whether people be living with cerebral palsy or family and friends of those living with cerebral palsy. This gives them a networking and education event. And we've been very lucky to be able to find some great speakers this year. We've had some returning ones. We've had some people that are returning speakers that were with us last year. And some of those that were with us last year is Ryan Ragu. He's back. We also have Greg Giordano, who does advocacy and comics. We also have Liz Venendel is back as well. But we've been also really lucky to have some great, some very well-known and inspiring speakers as well that are coming. Nathan Todd, David Figueroa,
Wow.
Gregory Iron, he's a professional wrestler living with cerebral palsy.
Wow.
Paula Carozzo, Chelsea Bear, who's huge in the social media world. I mean, we've got a lot of great speakers. And what we also doing is also focusing this year a lot also on to give some speakers and give some information and resources for parents as well who might have children living with cerebral palsy.
Yeah, that's great. One question that just popped in my mind that's not on the sheet, or maybe it's just something I wanted to say as an advocate. I mean, I'm 40 years old, so I've been an advocate for as long as I could remember. Oh, are you still with us, Josh? Up, guys, I think we lost him for just a second. Let's try to get him back.
All right, there. Okay, good.
All right. So if you could just kind of recap what you just said a little bit before you hopped off, and then I was gonna kind of add to that a little bit, something that I had just thought about.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you asked the question. What was the question? Do you remember?
The question was, something I was gonna add was, I've been an advocate for as long as I could remember. I'm 40 years old, so my parents said I came out kicking and screaming, so I'm the perfect advocate. I've had CP since I was born. So I think it's really cool and really refreshing that, and honestly, and I have to be completely honest with you, before this year or before our affiliation with you, I didn't even realize that there was a CP conference. So I think it's really interesting and really cool to have just a specific CP conference, because you see everything for spinal cord injury, and not taking away from anybody's disability at all. But I'm saying it's really nice to see something focused just on cerebral palsy. And I think it's, because there's so much information, because CP is always changing, the disability for the person isn't changing, but the information that comes out about CP and the advocates that grow up with CP are always changing. So I think it's really nice. And I just wanted to add that.
Exactly. And I was also wondering some of the.
It's always hard for, I think it's important that the advocacy and education about cerebral palsy is always happening.
Right.
And because there's a lot of misinterpretations or misinformation on what cerebral palsy is.
Yep.
So, and being able to provide this platform, have the website of cerebralpalsyconference.org, being able to, being able to give folks more of that opportunity, but also, as I say, for cerebral palsy advocates,
Yeah.
giving them a point of networking. Because here's the thing too, there's so many people, one of the things that we're really excited about is, the longer we've been doing this conference, the more we've seen so many people living with cerebral palsy who are advocates who don't know other advocates. And so
Yes.
being able to create this avenue and opportunity for that networking to happen and exchanging ideas and things like that is always great.
You're absolutely right. And we're so happy to be a part of it this year and be teaming up with you and be able to spread the message, and maybe next year get a little bigger and be able to, actually be a part and do something within the conference as advocates and kind of give back in that way too. We love the partnership. So thank you again for the opportunity on your side and giving Don't Burn the Day.
You're welcome.
I was wondering what has been your favorite part of seeing the growth of the conference.
Oh, good question, Age.
So yeah, ultimately we're a small nonprofit, so we don't do this to make money. And as a matter of fact, we don't make money on this. So that's never, and so this is more as a mission driven organization. Our job is to stay with what we're doing. And the more, working with podcasts like yours, just being able to let people know that the conference exists, I think is really important. And one of the reasons why what we did this year is that we actually created the free registration tab because we want people to come. I think it's really important that people come.
I think that's a huge piece. That's a huge piece that makes it. That's a huge piece that makes it accessible to not only people with CP, but people that want to learn about CP that may not typically come because there was a price involved with it, or because maybe they don't have CP, so they're like, oh, it's not about me, and plus it's cost to get in, so I'm just not going to worry about it. But this year is really cool because you guys are making it a free registration so anybody can come, and plus it's virtual, and this is, to my knowledge, the first year you guys are, the second year you guys are doing it virtually, right? Because last year you did it virtually. But
and last year we did it virtually, and we actually planned on doing the virtual conference before COVID hit. So we already had everything ready. We already had that set up because we wanted to expand out our ability, because as we say, we do it here in New England, and not everybody can make the flight or make the drive. So we decided last year to do that virtually before COVID. Yeah.
And I was going to speak on the piece of accessibility, because the more virtual events, not only because of COVID, but the more virtual events that happen, the more people with disabilities you're going to reach. And it makes you, as Green Mountain Support Services and disabilityconference.org, stand out, because you're one of the very few conferences that I've seen, even as an advocate. I've traveled and flown so many places before COVID just to attend conferences or be a part of conferences. And I so wish that things were virtual, because I have a family and I have a job now with AJ that, kind of requires me to be home too. So it's just really nice to be able to do that, be a part of it, and still be doing my job as an advocate and be educated in that way. So yeah, it's really great.
Yeah, and we also have on there, we have so there's the free registration. We have 3 tiers of registration. There's the free registration. Then there's called the Premier Digital, where the Premier Digital registrants will have access to see any of the breakout sessions for 60 days after, and also have access to last year's breakout sessions.
Oh, wow.
So that gives, so that if you add it all up, that's, I think, over 24 hours of
That's a really
content.
good, that's a really good piece of information to have for everybody. And
Right. So if
everybody,
for, yeah,
Go
so it's those first 2 days, the 2 days, it's free. You can watch it. You're there. You can attend. But after that, you can't access the conference anymore. The conference is closed, basically.
right.
So for those that are interested in, in seeing, and some of the breakout sessions happen consecutively. So there's always 2 breakout sessions happening at a time. So you're
Yes.
never going to see it all. You're never going to be able to see all the sessions.
Right.
So for the free, so that's the benefit of actually adding on to that Premier Digital for $20.
Yeah.
You'll have access to all of last year's sessions plus this year's sessions. So yeah.
I think that's a great piece too. You guys are just doing it right all across the board this year, and I commend you. And I know AJ is really happy with everything too. We thank you for everything you're doing. And we're just going to jump back into a few of the questions here. We've only got a few more left, and then we can kind of move forward a little bit. But I know you've got a great, and we kind of spoke about all the speakers you have coming in this year, and we know you have a great cross section of speakers at this year's conference. Can you give us a little insight into the process of selecting these individuals?
So this year we decided to go with the theme of mind and body. So I mean, a lot of, very, especially this last year with just, people concentrating on, more of their health. So what we wanted to do was think about what were some of those speakers that actually reflected that theme. And we also wanted to find speakers that were accessible to, as I say, for parents and family members, but also for self-advocates as well. So, yeah.
That's great. Again, I can't say enough. I think you guys are doing it all. You're doing it all right, all across the board, and kudos to you. Number four. Now this is a question that we're very proud of. We ask it in a lot of our interviews, and we have tons of different answers. So we just want you to go all out and give us your best answer. We love to hear them all, because we really thrive on this question. We think it's kind of interesting to hear. As you know, the words inclusion and diversity are both powerhouse words that are used often within the disability community. And as you probably also know, they can be defined very differently. How would you define these 2 words personally?
Inclusion and diversity.
Yeah, that's the first part of the question.
Okay.
And then there's the second part.
Okay. I would say, so for me, how I would define those words is community. Basically, I would define it with another word, is that a strong community is built on inclusion and diversity.
Yeah,
And
love it.
and it's you can't be inclusive without being diverse. So that's the thing. And then once you include diversity into your community, that's when the magic happens.
Awesome. Good stuff.
I think that's one of the best
Yeah.
answers
Yep.
we've ever received.
We've asked multiple guests that question, and they're kind of a little bit thrown off, but then they come back with it and they give the best answer they can. But honestly, AJ, you're right. I think that's one of the best, if not the best, answer we've gotten. And not just because we love you at Green Mountain Services. We mean that. The second part of that dynamic question, and then I hope you give as a dynamic answer, is also, how do you and your staff work to ensure that these words stay at the forefront of society's mind at Green Mountain Services?
Well, and then I said that our North Star, as I say, that the point that we always have to ask ourselves at the beginning and the end of every meeting is, are we ensuring that the person that we're providing services for is living the life they want to live? Are they able to connect with people who have the same hopes and dreams and likes and interests as they do? And lastly, we asked, the question too is like making sure whoever loves them is involved in those decision makings as well. We need to make sure there's plenty of natural advocates involved in any of that stuff.
I think that's a great answer too, but also something I kind of want to add on to that is, you have natural supports there. Yeah, and that's always a great thing, but you never want the natural supports to, I don't know, the best way I can explain what I mean is sometimes natural supports will go overboard and kind of impede the independence of the individual because of what they want and not
Right.
exactly everything that the individual wants. So you want to make sure that there's a good mix, and I'm sure that Green Mountain Support Services does that with each of their people.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's nice to have parents involved. It's nice to have all of those natural supports, but I'm saying this from experience. I've lived on my own since I was 17 and had natural supports built in, but also there comes a time when those natural supports sometimes are like, they don't realize that the person is their own independent person and they want so much because they are a family member or they are somebody that loves this person. They want to be overly helpful. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and there's a point too where people that I have learned more from my mistakes than my successes,
Yes.
and being able to allow people to make mistakes
Mhm.
is also the natural part of the human experience.
Yep, I guess
So-
that's kind of what I was getting at was that
Yeah.
the mistakes that happen are also there's lessons in the mistakes too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely. Well, I think AJ's got a question over there, and that's your last one, and then we'll continue on with this great discussion, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead, AJ.
If there is, if there was one overall takeaway that you want people to take away from this year's cerebral palsy conference, what would it be?
I don't think it can be summed up in a sentence, but something's successful when people have made friends or people have made connections after
Yes.
that. And then last year we had a lot of people who said, "Oh, can I reach out to you after?" and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's that's one of the most important things about that is allowing the attendees and the speakers to be able to create connections and as I was saying earlier, being able to allow people to be better at their advocacy or share their successes with other people as well. I think that's incredibly important. So, yeah.
Like we know here at Don't Burn the Day, and like I always say, and like AJ talks about all the time, you're never too old to learn something. You never stop learning. So I think that kind of goes on to the piece that you were talking about. You just connect and you learn and you grow. Even if you think you're the best advocate, there's always something else to learn. So I think if people come to the CP conference and they don't, and they think they know what they know, they're always going to have a chance to learn something new because you guys
Yes.
are always offering it and you're bringing in the resources that allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And also, what are some of the videos that will be offered as part of the conference as well? Apart from the speakers, is there any companies?
Oh,
Right.
vendors. He asked what kind
Oh,
of vendors are
vendors.
going to be shown.
So what we decided to do this year was last year where we had exhibitors plus sponsors. We realized that it was more work for us to do exhibitor booths than it was with sponsors.
Mhm.
Since they're kind of so we removed so basically anybody who's a sponsor or is a speaker will have access to, we call them an exhibitor profile basically, where they would have their own dedicated webpage on on the virtual platform site,
Okay.
so you can interact with them. So all the speakers are going to have that, along with any sponsors that will be attending as well. So
Very, very cool. Well,
Yeah.
we're done with all our questions. Is there anything else you want to add? And tell everybody that listening or watching the video.
well, I would say, so as of this recording, we have over 100 registrations so far.
Oh my goodness,
And-
that's great.
Yeah, and so and it's going to be open up until the day of the conference. So everybody has about a month or so to register.
And you'll be back again with us to talk about CP conference again in a couple of weeks. So we want
That's
to
right.
we want to see a higher number after
Yeah.
after this show and the next show. We're gonna get you all booked out. We're gonna have no more room in the Zoom. No more room.
And also, could you tell us what time the event kicks off?
Yeah, October 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
It used to be earlier, but then we realized it's easier for people because now that we're doing it virtually, it's not just an East Coast thing. So that we have people from the West Coast attending. We have people from Great Britain attending. So 10 a.m. was kind of the sweet spot where it's 7 a.m. for West Coast, and it's also like 2 p.m. for Great Britain. So it's a good middle spot that we picked. So yeah. And it goes all the way till 6 p.m. every day. So it's 8 hours. So,
It's gonna be good, guys. And I know you guys have tons of breakout sessions. We've talked about it in our promos. If you've seen the website, our website, if you've seen our Facebook, they're gonna have amazing breakout sessions. These award-winning guest speakers are talking about just amazing things happening with CP conference this year, and we're so excited to be a part of it. Thank you so much for making us a partner, and we hope to make you proud. And if you're an advocate, if you want to learn about CP, please come be a part of the virtual experience of CP conference sponsored by Green Mountain Support Services and CP conference, because I just know it's going to be amazing. We will be there as the Don't Burn the Day team, so we'll be learning ourselves a little bit, and hopefully
Come say hi or shoot us a message in the chat.
Yeah, make sure you we'll make sure we say hi, and everybody can kind of connect that way. But anyway, I just want to again say thank you to you, Josh, for coming on, and we are so grateful to work with you and to be able to give people this information about the CP conference. Is there anything specific that's a little different than this year, that's brand new, that you haven't done, that is going to be new, that people can expect?
Well, I think from like a logistics perspective, we're using a new platform, and it's going to be kind of similar to the one we had last year.
Okay.
And we are, having a theme and also having some breakout sessions geared more towards parents is something new for us as well. So yeah,
it's going to be really nice, I'm sure. I'm super excited about it. Like I keep saying, we're so thankful to be part of it, that just because I know it's going to be a great experience for everybody involved. And you guys hit it out of the park with this one. Thank you so much. And we want to keep some of the information a little bit private until a few weeks from now, because you're going to be back on with us in a couple weeks to share information again right before the conference happens. So we just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time.
You're welcome. And thank you so much for supporting it. We really appreciate all the help that you and the team at the Don't Burn the Day have been doing for us. We really appreciate it too.
Of course, our pleasure.
No problem.
We love to be affiliated with something that a team and people that are so great and really spreading the message of inclusivity and CP. And because we, like I said earlier, you hear a lot about differing disabilities. You hear about spinal cord injuries. And why? Because honestly, because it's the most relatable, right? So for us to even, for as people that have CP, as individuals that have CP, it's so nice to work with a team that's actually focused on cerebral palsy and making it a conference that people can learn from.
That truly get it, that truly understand. A lot of people, they say they understand, but they truly, in many cases, don't understand. And I feel like your organization does truly get what people with CP go through. So we thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Thank you for coming on with us. We just appreciate you so much. And there's not enough words in the English language to tell you how grateful I am to see something like this come about. Like I said, until last year, when we started even thinking about working with you, I didn't even know that there was a CP conference, and I've been an advocate for so many years. I was a Miss Wheelchair Florida. I traveled around different states and advocated, and I never even heard about anything. So, I mean, this was a new one on me, and I'm so grateful that there's something out there that's available like that. So thank you for coming on. I'm sorry you had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we will take care of that in post, and we'll make sure you look great, and it'll be fabulous. So thank you so much for coming on. And we are excited about the conference, and if there's anything else we can do for you, please let us know.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Just, as I say, it's just making sure people go to cerebralpalsyconference.org. All the information's on there, and please go ahead and register. It's going to be an amazing, amazing conference, and the more the merrier.
You guys, take it from us once again before we wrap this up. This year's CP conference is going to be better than ever, better than last year. And yes, it's going to be virtual again. So I expect to see all of your shining faces at CP conference virtual this year. And just thanks for letting us be a part of it. And yeah, like Josh said, go get signed up because it's happening. And let's learn about CP. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
Josh, it was great to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. AJ, are you ready? Are you done? You got a question there, buddy?
With that, we say, don't burn the day, y'all.
That's right. Don't burn the day. Bye, Josh. We'll see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.